This video is brought to you by Miclay, the innovative British fashion brand that donates a portion of its sales to charities that aim to improve our planet and environment. Find out more in the link below at www.miclay.co.uk. Thank you, Miclay. This is CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, an organisation that brings together 15 member states and dependencies. Now, CARICOM is not the most well-known international organisation within global affairs, so today we're going to investigate it a little further and find out what it is, what it does, and try to understand why institutions like the United Nations even have CARICOM as an official UN observer. So buckle up as we head to the Caribbean, and welcome to CARICOM Explained. Now, picture this, a sun-soaked part of the world with crystal clear water and stunning beaches, home to a diverse list of nations and peoples that for many centuries have had their economies geared towards the production of agricultural produce for exportation towards former occupiers, colonizers, and tradespeople. Yep, that's the region of the world where CARICOM can be found, and its past economic realities play a key role in the establishment of today's CARICOM, which looks to strengthen and modernize the region. But let's start with the basics. Established in 1973 by the Treaty of Chaguaramas, signed in Trinidad and Tobago, CARICOM has grown from an organization of just the 4 members of Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago to an international organization with an almost all-encompassing presence in the Caribbean. Its goal was simple: to promote economic integration, cooperation, and foreign policy coordination among its members, and as such, it superseded the Caribbean Free Trade Association, which had been operating since the mid-1960s. Part of the motivation that contributed towards the formation of CARICOM in the 1970s was the dissolution of the West Indies Federation in 1962, a political union that consisted of various Caribbean states, many of which had just become independent from the British. But anyway, CARICOM grew in size, with 8 new members joining a year after its creation, and its largest member, Haiti, joining in 2002. Economically, CARICOM has been divided from the very beginning, so much so that all its 15 members have been grouped into one of 2 groups, as provided in Article 4 of the founding treaty. These groups are quite simply named LDCs and MDCs, standing for less developed countries and more developed countries. And I'll make sure that future me edits the countries in the correct groups to save me butchering the names of all 15 members. Now, during its almost 50 years of existence, CARICOM has been a busy organization, making changes that have had real impacts on the ground. For example, as of 1990, thanks to the Grand Anse Declaration, CARICOM nationals have been able to travel within the community without the need for a passport, as the hassle-free travel policy was brought in, with the idea of increasing intra-CARICOM tourism and a sense of community. Although the policy has had some issues with regards to its implementation. Furthermore, a CARICOM national is entitled to 6 months within any other member, as stated by the Caribbean Court of Justice. Yes, another CARICOM institution established in 2005. And it doesn't stop there. CARICOM has its own disaster emergency management agency, Meteorological Institute, Examinations Council, and Agency for Agricultural Health and Food Safety, and that's in addition to an anthem for the organization, which was launched in 2013. So, all seems good, right? CARICOM is a well-structured organization with all the organs, bodies, and institutions that allow it to function effectively. But what would CARICOM's economy be like if it were all one country? Where would it rank? How advanced would it be? And what relationship does it have with the rest of the world? Today, CARICOM is home to 18.5 million people, with the most populous members being Haiti, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago, which together comprise 83% of the Union's population. Globally, that ranks CARICOM around 65th, between Zambia and Syria. Economically, CARICOM is not a significant economic player, with an economy around $93 billion in size, comparable to the nearby Dominican Republic, and a little smaller than a much more populous Ethiopia. This means that on per capita terms, CARICOM is similar to South Africa and Paraguay, with a figure around the $5,000 mark. But anyway, GDP figures aside, the most important internal economic factor that drives growth in CARICOM is the Union Single Market, formerly known as the Caribbean Single Market and Economy, or CSME. Now, this CSME is a relatively new addition to CARICOM and doesn't consist of all CARICOM members. Let me explain. The CSME was envisioned back in 1989 with three key objectives. 1. Deepening economic integration by advancing beyond a common market towards a single market and economy. 2. Widening the membership and thereby expanding the economic mass of the Caribbean community. And 3. Progressive insertion of the region into the global trading and economic system by strengthening trade links with non-traditional partners. These objectives were not going to be achieved overnight. As such, they were split into two phases. The first phase took place between 2008 and 2009, with the objectives to consolidate the single market, as well as initiating the single economy. And that may all sound like a load of mixed buzzwords, so I'll list some of the elements and actions that were taken in order to ensure these objectives were hit. For example, a regional development strategy was outlined. A regional stock exchange was established. Full implementation of free movement of service providers with streamlined procedures took place. And a regional development fund was also established. As for the second phase, more time was given to negotiate stickier areas, such as the harmonization of taxation systems and fiscal and monetary policies, as well as the implementation of the regional competition policy and regional intellectual property regime. Now, it's worth pointing out that not all of the goals set out at the beginning of the CSME were achieved. Many faced and continue to face delays, such as the single currency that has been proposed multiple times. But this is an international political and economic union, so delays are commonplace anywhere in the world. So, what's CARICOM's relationship like with the rest of the world? Has it made strides towards strengthening its trading links with non-traditional partners? Is CARICOM diversifying? Now, a mutual feeling experienced by almost all small islands across the world is the sentiment of complete dependence on a mainland. And as someone who has visited the beautiful island of San Andres in Colombia, located in the middle of nowhere in the Caribbean Sea, I can say that I have seen this level of dependence firsthand. This dependence on other nations or a mainland puts the brakes on economic development in many nations, since a nation may find that its fate is not necessarily in its own hands, at least not as much as it would like. And this is one of the issues that CARICOM faces. But let me remind you that the US economist and sociologist Thorstein Veblen wrote in 1899, "Institutions are products of the past process, are adapted to past circumstances, and are therefore never in full accord with the requirements of the present." Now, this poorly integrated quote is not just a testament to my below-average writing skills, but it also tells us that CARICOM itself may be the institution that is ushering in change so that the region's institutions of today can be better structured for the requirements of the 21st century, And when it comes to dependence, it's showing. You see, despite its small size, CARICOM has been signing trade deals and cooperating with surrounding unions and organizations, like it's the social butterfly at a house party. It's got bilateral agreements with the United States, China, Japan, the European Union, Mercosur, Mexico, and Colombia, just to name a few. CARICOM was also instrumental in the creation of the Association of Caribbean States, as well as the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, two organizations that help foster communication and cooperation within the region and aid its political and economic stability, something that we like to see here at Economics in Action. This willingness to look at its immediate surroundings and try to encourage a stable neighborhood, as well as striking agreements with countries across Asia, Europe, and the Americas, are the signs of a union that is looking to build bridges, relationships, and institutions that make sure that the region can remain relevant further into the 21st century. So there you go, CARICOM. Perhaps a union you had not heard about. But I think most of us can agree that this political and economic union has done a great job at trying to create prosperity in an area of the world that has struggled with a range of issues. I'd expect CARICOM to continue to be relevant in the region for decades to come, as it continues to act as a key organization for members to operate through. However, I see certain hurdles that CARICOM will struggle to address. The economic divide within the union will delay certain objectives that its members may have with regards to increased integration. And even with levels of intra-CARICOM trade increasing further and greater cooperation, the union remains very dependent on larger partners, and the capacity of the union itself may not be great enough to deal with any political and economic issues in surrounding neighbors, such as Venezuela. But even so, it'll be around to improve and coordinate development in the Caribbean. Hi everyone, thank you for watching today's video. I hope I've been able to put one of the lesser discussed parts of our globe under the spotlight. Be sure to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.